Give me a minute. Um, I'm getting a challenge. It looks like the stream was deleted on LinkedIn. Try creating a new stream. Give me a minute. I think there is a problem with connecting it to LinkedIn. Give me a minute. I thought everything was set. We can start. We are now live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Sylvie, go ahead.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. This is the Queens of our Cabaret podcast. We are here to celebrate, reflect about the International Day of the Girl Child. I am your host, Sylvie Ndazimana Gashema, and we will be focusing on the perspective from the Generation Z, the younger generations of ladies. And I would like for us to get an introduction of the amazing ladies we have with us today who are taking bold steps into leadership, tackling these issues. Thank you very much for everyone joining. Over to you, Cynthia.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you're watching from. My name is Cynthia Mburu. I am from Kenya, currently in Kenya. I am many things. I am a co-founder of YWEL, a young women in entrepreneurship and leadership, and I'm passionate about the girl child. I'm passionate about women. I'm passionate about empowering our generation, empowering our gender, and especially empowering the African woman. Yes, that is my brief introduction.
Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia. Let's hear from Sarah. Welcome, Sarah. Welcome to the podcast.
So, hi everyone. Good morning, good evening. My name is Sarah Masika Samo. I'm currently a final year business management student at African Leadership College. I'm Kenyan, but currently based in Mauritius. My interests lie along circular economy, climate action, and social entrepreneurship. And my goal is basically to cultivate an entrepreneurial um, mindset to be able to come up with innovative ideas to create sustainable solutions to improve my community's social and economic well-being. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah, and welcome again for everyone joining. For those who are just connecting now, the topic today is the International Day of the Girl Child Rights. Today we are celebrating the International Day of the Girl Child Rights. It's something close to us, and we want to take with us in this journey of reflection, also celebration of how come, like how far we've come, and also looking ahead and beyond, beyond the current statu quo, the current plans, the current talk. We want to hear from the younger generation and really look into the steps they've already started taking in the immediate surrounding, and encourage also other women, other younger girls from from the Generation Z and beyond to take up space. This is why we created this podcast. We want Generation Z women to take up space and voice their needs, and also we want to amplify the work they're doing and build an ecosystem for them to be able to see their dreams fulfilled. So thank you again for everyone joining. Before we get into our conversation, how about looking into few statistics to shed some light on the situation of the girl child and women in general? Girls remain, unfortunately, still the first victims of harassment online, offline, and remain also the first victims of physical violence. Every minute, 23 girls are forced into marriage before they reach the age of majority. 118 million, 0.5 million girls remain out of school, and by 2030, only one in three girls living in crisis, in context of crisis, will complete high school. 200 million girls have been going through female genital mutilation. This is still happening as we speak. This is just a snippet of some statistics around the situation of the child, the girl child. However, we want to hear from our uh, friends and colleagues and sisters from joining the podcast, the Queens of Alkebulan podcast. We want to hear their stories. We want to hear their uh, their calls for action. So we want to go first, maybe with Sarah, okay? And we want to hear from you what this day means to you. What did you do today? What was your reflection today? What is it that you want to share on such a day like this?
Okay, so thank you again for the opportunity. So for me, this day is basically a day to reflect on my experiences, and it's also a day that acts as a reminder of how far I've come, coming from our community, that the girl child most of the time struggles to get similar opportunities like compared to the boy child. So it's basically a day for me to remind myself that I can still strive for the goals that I want to go for, irrespective of all the societal limitations that I might face. And also, it's basically an opportunity to celebrate and empower other girls out there to promote their rights and highlight the importance of gender equality worldwide.
Thank you, Sarah. We have our another sister joining, and sorry, we might have had some technical issues, but we want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself before continue with the round of questions. Over to you.
Okay, I'm Christopher Precious Ofukoechu, a Nigerian. I'm a student at the University of um, Nnamdi Azikiwe University.
We might have some maybe connection issues from that end. Precious, you remain with us anytime when you are back online. We want to hear from you. We want to, know who you are and also get your insights in some of the discussion that will happen today. So let's move on with Cynthia. Cynthia, how did the day go? I know that we are pretty much in the same time zone. I'm based in Kigali, next to Kigali in Rwanda, and you are in Kenya. How did the day go? Or what are you planning to do for the rest of the day? What do you want to share with us?
Okay. Thank you, Sylvie. So, what I will start by answering. What does this day mean to me? I, as a girl, I still believe I'm a girl, transitioning to being a woman. I have a young sister. I have young cousins, and for me, this day is just to. It's a representation of how far we have come as empowering the girl child, or rather giving them equal rights, opportunities for this girl child, and celebrating how far we have come and how far we are going. That is my main reason. That is why I'm celebrating today. What I have done today, I've been very busy at work, so I have not had the opportunity to pat myself on the back and tell myself I'm doing great. Yes, but
Awesome.
otherwise, that's what I would like to to remind all girls who are watching this that this day is for you to remember how far we have come and how far we are going.
Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia. This is despite the stats, we need to remember celebrating ourselves, speaking life in ourselves and the girls, the women around us. Thank you so much for sharing, Cynthia. So now let's get to the challenges and beyond the headlines, beyond sometimes the gimmicks, the jargon, the technicalities of the issue surrounding the girl child rights. We want to hear, how does it look like in your immediate surrounding, the challenges that you see that the girls are facing currently. We are based in different countries and we want to hear about your local perspective. We want to hear your heart and your thinking about those issues. Can we go with Sarah?
Okay, so I'm going to share in the perspective of my community back at home in Kenya. So some of the major challenges that I've seen or observed in my community that usually the girl child faces. One is the gender-based discrimination and bias. So you find out most of the opportunities that come or arise in our community, most of them are usually given to the male gender or the boys, and the girls we usually have we're usually limited to these opportunities. So there's that discrimination that comes about. At the same time, the second thing is lack of opportunities in the male-dominated fields, especially when you're trying to apply for a job in my community. It becomes very difficult because now you have to like go an extra mile just to get an opportunity in those fields. And even when you get that chance to be able to now be in the field with them, most of the time you might find yourself out of place or sometimes even face the harassment because people just, the male in that field might want to take advantage of you and they will ask for certain favors for you to be able to get, for example, what you want or even get a promotion. So I find that very disturbing sometimes. But again, it's just a community that now is has started the whole advocacy on girl child rights, and as much as there's progress, these challenges are still happening in my community. Yeah, so those are the major challenges I can think of right now.
Thank you, Sarah. And if you think of something else, please feel free to chime in. This is a conversation, right? Um, so yes, discrimination in the workplace, the attitude towards girls, women in the workplace, especially in certain fields. We will be discussing, uh, a little bit deeper about that in the next few minutes. Um, Another question I would like to ask Sarah, and then we'll hand over to Cynthia. Do you think that there's a type of discrimination that might be powered with some of our culture? You know, I'm talking about the cultures like where you come from. Do you think there's a connection between both? And, what do you think should be done? What are your recommendations or maybe some of the things you've started implementing in your community?
Okay, so I believe most of the discrimination that the girl child faces in my community does come from the cultural belief that the boy child is more important or it's better than the girl child. So I'll speak from my own personal experience. Yeah, of course, I'll say I've come a long way fighting. I wouldn't say really fighting, but just me trying to prove a point that, okay, I can do what the boy child is doing. So I live in a very remote area, and those people I would say they're still living in the past. They haven't really made much progress because whatever they do is usually mostly determined by the whole cultural beliefs that they have always lived by. So, of course, the girl child is not seen as important as the boy child. So, um, the boy child is given all these opportunities to explore education, all these other activities, but then you find out most of the time the girl child is most of the time they spend their time doing the chores at home because that's what the community believes that's what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah. Okay. So from my experience, what I've done, I would say for me, I got lucky because I had an opportunity through a scholarship. I had an opportunity to get out of my community, and I studied in a whole different area, like Mombasa, and I was surrounded with people who did push for girl child rights, us standing up for ourselves, and realizing our value. So most of the time, I went back home. I'll try to speak out. Of course, sometimes it came out as rude or it came out as if I was too woke, and people didn't really see it as a good thing. But most of the time, I'll speak out for myself. I'll be like, you know what, I can do this, regardless whether I'm a girl or not. Just give me the chance to do it, and I can show you guys that I'm capable of doing it. So it's basically me speaking out and also at the same time encouraging the people that were around me, mostly girls, to just speak out from like for themselves, and also not to shy away from exploring these opportunities, to go ahead and try out, to go ahead and put the maximum effort just to be able to have access to all these opportunities. So yeah, basically that's what worked for me. I'm not saying it's better now when I go back home. Of course, it's not better, but I'm still in the process of trying to push for the girl child to be recognized, and us ourselves, the girls in that community, to stand up for ourselves and just speak out, and also be able to challenge ourselves and put ourselves out there and go for these opportunities, regardless of whatever people are going to say or whatever the community, like whatever the community thinks of us. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And Precious is back. Welcome back, Precious.
Yeah.
We are going
I
through,
think
you know, can you hear us?
yeah, I can hear you. I'm so sorry, my network is fluctuating.
Hmm. Okay. Um, well, let's ask you ask Precious. You were just about to introduce yourself. If you could take like 1 or 2 minutes to introduce yourself, and then we can move on with the questions.
Okay, I'm Christopher Precious Opokoecho. I'm a Nigerian. and also a student at Nnamdi Azikiwe University. I'm also part of YWEL organization, where I co-host the podcast, and I'm very honored to be in the midst of those great people who are celebrating the International Day of the Girl Child today. Thank you.
Thank you, Precious. And we really want to thank, the founder at the Queen of Alkebulan podcast. And we want to really thank Nicole Omotoni. Thank you for this great opportunity. So we were talking about the challenges that the girl child face, and now moving away from global statistics and try to get into our, respective realities within our local communities. Maybe Precious, if you would like to share how those challenges look like in your immediate surroundings, and then we'll get to Cynthia.
Okay, thank you. In my immediate surrounding, it is a common thing for the girl child to, just reach a particular um, height in education. And after that, she's being looked at, okay, it's time for you to get married. There is nothing like career and career dreams pursuing and pursuits. So one of the challenges a girl child who aspires for a thriving future face is in the aspect of support for our already carved career. Now you go to your mom and you're like, okay, mom, for this part of time, I want to pursue this career. And then she's like, no, by the time you are done pursuing your career, you either be too old to get a nice husband and stuff. So one of the major pursuits is this one of the major challenge, sorry, is this lack of support. And this lack of support has brought about other things like imposter syndrome, whereby a girl doubts herself ability, her skills and all. She's like, can I really do this? So it has brought about this imposter syndrome, and it has embedded it in the mind of the girl child that it takes a lot of strength on her part to be able to come out to pursue something meaningful in the society. So that's one of the challenge we face here. Thank you.
Thank you, Precious. Um, the other aspect we wanted to cover, and Precious, this is another question for you. Do you think the culture, the culture from your community, where you're coming from, does it? Do you think it plays a role hindering the girl child access to as many opportunities as a boy?
Yeah, I do think it does play a role in the sense that some opportunities are being tagged as should I say as male, like I don't know if you get it. Now some opportunities are being tagged for male alone. There are certain things you go home to tell an Akabula mother. I'll still always bring it back to the immediate part of my community. There are certain things you tell your mom, like my mom, that okay, I want to do this, and then she's like, no, you know, going over to tell a Kevlar mother as a girl that you want to serve in the military or something, those things do not sit well with them. Okay, and because it doesn't sit well with them, you are not allowed to do it, even though you know that is what you want to do. So the cultures of my English surrounding actually affects and creates hindrances to a girl child because there are so many things we want to do, and then the society at large, let's even start from there, which is a patriarchal kind of society, do not permit it because they feel like, okay, yeah, this is for male, mostly in the aspect of leadership. Have you ever wondered why most leadership positions are not occupied by ladies? This is because they have already tagged that, okay, yeah, it takes strong hand to rule, to lead. And then since ladies are being tagged or girls are being tagged as the weaker weaker vessels, they are being pushed aside and they are like, no. So these cultures, these different societal structures and views that have been put in place really causes hindrances to a girl child who is trying to thrive.
Thank you, Precious. And as a mom, I'm being reminded, the mothers, we are, the ones sometimes, facilitating those stereotypes, and we are the ones sometimes, perpetuating these issues. So it's a good reminder. It's very interesting that you mentioned the typical African or Alkebulan mom, preventing her child from being
Um,
back with all our guest speakers. And we heard from Sarah, we heard also from Precious. And Sarah provided her perspective from someone who was raised in a like remote areas of Kenya. That was very interesting. And thank you again, Sarah. We just heard from Precious, who's coming from Nigeria, and providing her her perspectives as well. And we're going to hear from Cynthia, and maybe Cynthia, if you could let us know if you are if your perspective is from someone who grew up in an urban area versus maybe a remote one. That would be interesting to find out and to let our audience understand the depth of those type of issues. Thank you. Over to you, Cynthia.
um, Thank you, Sylvie. So, first I will start by saying I have grown up in semi-urban, semi-rural. It's not really rural, and it's not really urban. I'm trying to get the in between. So it's the in between of that. Yeah, I agree with what Precious and Sarah have just mentioned. Those are the same challenges I'm facing as well. And I have listed them down on terms of the challenges I feel like our generation or the young girls are facing. And what Precious was talking about, the societal expectation, the expectation that you should take up the traditional roles, the expectation that after school you should get married. So that is for me is the number one challenge that I see, because it has been mentioned several times. Now you finished university, what next? I want to pursue a career, but in the society is expecting me to start chasing, okay, not chasing a man, but getting a man, settling down, having a family. So that is the first challenge I can see, the societal expectation of to take up the traditional roles. And the other challenge that has not been mentioned is finding the balance between being a stern, affirmative, strong woman, and just being seen as a woman who is rude, who is on, how they say it, maybe you're PMSing. I've been in the work environment for like an year so far. I have 1 year experience working, and I'm usually not sure how to, to broach that topic, because people are not used to seeing young girls or women taking up spaces and filling them, just being stern. You if you're that, you categorize as a very loud woman or someone who does not know their place. So it's a balance. It's a balance, and I think it's something that I would like, to see change, to be accepted as, we are. Yes, it can be an extroverted woman, you can be a loud person without being judged for that. And yeah, and being taken seriously in the workplace. So those are my challenges.
Thank you, Cynthia. And I can relate, and certainly other, girls and women who are, listening to us can relate. we can all relate to that. It's a challenge. We want to come across cultures, and at the same time, when we stand our ground, we easily, like people usually tag us as being angry, aggressive. We can, most of us can relate. Thank you, Cynthia, for sharing. I want to come back now to the stats we mentioned at the beginning of this talk. Um, there was stats about harassment online, offline, gender-based violence, forced marriage, you know, and also the fact that less and less girls, stand a chance, giving the current, uh, you know, um, the current state of some of the regions where, unfortunately, they are, experience armed conflict, and armed conflicts are hitting hard on girls, because this is where you find after, at the aftermath of those conflicts, you find that girls and women are being hit hard at the first of, victims, when those things happen. And also the female genital mutilation. Among all these things we mentioned at the beginning, those stats and those facts, um, are there some of them that are really close to you more than others? I would give the audience a way of them to understand the geography of these things, maybe from the these like the countries that you come from. Is there anything you want to share about that?
Okay. Um,
Yes.
I can go next, Sylvie.
Sure, go ahead, Cynthia.
Okay, I am looking at what you've been saying, the challenges that are facing the girl child, and for me, I think the one that is close is the harassment, cyberbullying. That kind of bullying and the just violence against women or the girl child. For me, I think I will speak about the cyberbullying specifically because that's something I have people close to me who have faced it, and that is really close to that is the one challenge that I think I can talk about. Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia. I don't know who wants to go next. Precious or
Okay.
Sarah?
Okay, should I go next?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so the one I can really relate to is the issue of victimization, whereby a girl child who is the victim is also like termed the cursed. Like they always say she's the cause of our problem. I put it this way: now, in the issue of sexual harassment, mostly here in Nigeria, if you report it to the police station, the first thing they ask is, why are you there by this hour of the night? What were you putting on? A case study that's just recently happened in my department. Okay, in the university, there was this issue of sexual harassment amongst lecturers. Like lecturers victimizing students, and then the next thing they could think of to come up with was the fact that we students we shouldn't even dye our hair, we shouldn't braid colors hair. And when we were asking why, they were like, we are the cause of the sexual harassment. So I was wondering, is it my hair color that is making the lecturers to misbehave? So these are one of the challenges being faced, whereby girls are being made the cause of their own situation when they are even the victim. Instead of them to look for a tackling measure, they bring it back to the ladies and tell them that, yeah, they are the curse. So this is one of the things, of the challenges I could really relate to.
Thank you, Precious. That's an easy one, right? When you hand it back to the victim, then you're not accountable to anything. You're not there's nothing that you are supposed to do about it. Um, and Precious, while we're still on that, um, what do you think should be done, and let's focus on your community. What is it that you see as an opportunity for girls who are stepping into leadership as yourself? Um, what could be done to address these kind of issues, or have you taken steps about these types of issues?
Okay. The steps I've taken about this, let me start from there. I usually write about the misogynist views. I write poems about it, and I also write articles. I feel like if I write about it and then I create this level of enlightenment, like I'll get like minds to come and tackle the old issues. I've also been able to join some foundations like YWEL, which deal with young women also, and then we hope to lend our voice to be an advocate, to let girls know that yes, we know this, and then we are there for them. Now, as a leader, as a girl stepping up to leadership, I think when I get there, these are the things, advice that we look out for. Yeah, it can't be eradicated totally. It won't be easy to do so because we, yeah, are in this patriarchal system whereby the men rules, they are seen as the gods, so to speak. So it won't be easy to eradicate it. But if you get girls, if you empower them and you get them to stand up for themselves, I feel like it will be reduced because most times, from the home, most times I don't blame them because from the home we are trained to be this reserved individuals who do not talk too much. So most times we don't know how to communicate us. We don't communicate easily. So if we empower them and then we get them to talk, most victims don't even talk. So how do we get to know if they don't talk? Now, if we get them to talk, you see that from talking, they can even be able to say no. They can know that yes, this person is not the god they pushed him to be, so to speak, and then they can fight against it. So I just feel like speaking and putting ourselves in places that we could be heard would go a long way in curbing all this. Thank you.
Thank you, Precious. And this is something that we want to really amplify and really disseminate among, the younger generations of girls. We tending to be seen as victims, but actually, um, the ball is really in the camp of the girls, to voice their concerns and also boldly, bring changes in their communities. We are almost at time. Um, we get to the time where we would like to hear your concluding remarks. Um, we just have 1 minute left. A thought, something you want to really people to remember, to take as a takeaway following our conversation.
Oh, so
Cynthia?
oh,
Oh, so Sarah, go ahead, Sarah. Sorry.
okay. So as a concluding remark, one thing I'll say, I am privileged to have access to information and technology that has made me more aware of my rights, more aware of what I can do as a person to be able to voice out all these thoughts, or rather be the voice to the victimized or the voiceless. But my ending, or rather my conclusion, I'll say um the other generations before us, because I'm like a generation Z, yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
it's time for them to kind of like adopt the more progressive attitudes towards the gender roles and like equality. So as much as us younger people are into activism, we're advocating for inclusivity, the older generation needs to also adopt that progressive attitude and leave all these other cultural beliefs behind. Because I feel like sometimes, as much as us younger people are really trying our best to push for this change, to advocate for gender equality, sometimes you find out that as much as I'm speaking for myself, I want to be heard, then there's someone somewhere in my village who doesn't even believe in that, and they're still living in the whole cultural belief. So it becomes really hard for our voices to be heard. So let's adopt the progressive attitudes, and let's all advocate for change and gender equality, and just for girls to be very confident and speak for themselves and go for those goals that they have in mind without being victimized, without being challenged, or without having the fact that they have to put extra effort just to be able to be where they want to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm Generation X, so I heard you, and I think the key word here is inclusion. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for a great conversation. Thank you for really sharing your insights from the ground. Thank you so much, and thank you for all those who were with us online. It was great having you with us as well. Thank you so much, and I wish you a nice rest of the day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.